part 2. Now I've been gone for like the last part came out 2 weeks ago, so I'm hopping back on this what if because some of my friends have been requesting, hey yo, do another part. And also the whole, I guess, Joker's Legacy what if, I might stop on there because I got a little bored doing part 2 of that, so I don't know about that. But basically, I am going to be coming with bangers upon bangers with Invincible what ifs, and what ifs mainly on more pop culture and like really relevant animes and TV shows, specifically ones that are able to actually be properly, well, what ifed or put the story into a very cognitive, core, like make the story a lot more capable, to put it simple. But to put it simple, and over all of everything that's going on in my series, or not my series, but in my, channel, this would be the main thing that's be happening. I'll be doing a lot more what ifs based off of a lot more, it's just a more popular TV shows. But let's just dive right into this fanfiction. Last time we left off, Ben would have been back to his house. Nothing really went down much, except for the whole, just a tad little thing. Omni-Man murking the Justice League, this universe's Justice League, the Guardians of the Globe, straight up murking the crap out of them, bro. Dealing with them, I said, in part 1. We get switched to the Grayson home after Cecil and his men would have showed up there, basically disinfecting the set and basically getting everybody's bodies and corpses and basically checking out the scene, seeing what was going on. As we're going to switch to Debbie waking up alone in her bed, her hair being a little bit messed up, but her basically getting ready to go to work. As she would have seen Mark get up and basically would have told him, or would have said that she's worried about his dad, but he said he's probably on somewhere saving the day or something. As Debbie was going to work, but being stopped by 2 men in black, her being kind of confused. They get switched to the Pentagon, as well Donald would have been explaining them what happened and how it was a urgent care situation going on, as this isn't any normal hospital. This is for supes, heroes, and people, and also some aliens as well, as he would have been talking to Mark and basically explaining what was going on. As we would get switched to Ben, as Ben would have been walking past the hallways in this facility, walking past Mark and Debbie, as they would have been shocked, well, mainly Mark being shocked, saying, you knew about this place? You never told me, Ben? As Ben would have told him, it's a lot of things that I'm classified not to tell anybody, including my best friends. As he would have told him that, why are you guys here? Or would have asked him, why are you guys here? As Ben would have been told by Donald that something happened and it's good for them to only know about it. Only the closest people to him. As Mark would have been basically looking down to his feet, as Ben would have put it together saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Mark. Is he okay? As they would have walked to the hospital room, basically Mark seeing his dad in critical condition or just badly hurt. As we were seeing that, Mark would have hand-shaken Cecil introducing himself to Mark. As Mark would have explained that, why is my friend here? And why has this place never been told to us? As well, Cecil would have gone into more, pretty much detail about how this is a secret organization and nothing can really be, well, let's say, given out. This information can't really be given out so quickly into this story. So we get seeing that Ben and Mark look at each other after Cecil explains to the Guardians of the Globe's HQ was attacked and that he was caught in the crossfire, and basically Omni-Man was very badly hurt and all the other Guardians were killed. As we begin switch to basically Mark and Debbie dealing with this whole situation, as Ben would have pulled Mark to the side, telling him that I don't know what's going on, but my grandpa called me last night and he was off-world doing something, and I don't know what's going on, but it seems like everybody part of the Guardians of the Globe, all the big heroes, are going out one by one. As in this continuity, let's just say a lot more heroes would have been dying left and right, more of the more powerful ones, including plumbers and other aliens that were plumbers on this planet, like Tetramans, Pyronites, other Pyronites besides, well, the kid that we saw in part 1 that Ben helped out and put in Plumber Academy. Basically, it's simple. Let's just say the involvement of the plumbers would have escalated the situation and the characters a lot faster in the story. Now, during the whole argument between Cecil and Debbie would have been tending to her husband, as Mark would have been kind of confused, saying what the hell's going on, as they would have both gotten a call on their phone, not a call on their phone, but Ben getting a call on his phone that was some sort of alien invasion happening in the city. As basically he told Mark that this might get his head off of what is happening, so he told Mark to come with him. As they would have ran over there, Ben transforming into Accelerate. As Ben and Mark would have shown up there, as Mark would have said it's time to go, let's get ready. As he would have seen Ben already jump in, basically rushing, and I mean rushing past all these aliens, knocking the snot out of them, left to back, left, right, front, center, going crazy back to back to back to back. Basically steamrolling through these aliens like it's nothing. Him eventually taking some turns and U-turns into these aliens, as basically Mark would have started to freak out. Him having blood on him, seeing these guys getting murked, and seeing all these people and these civilians getting shot down like they're monsters or they're freaking dogs. As he would have flew over this, how to say, this old lady, crashing the head out of one of these aliens. As he would have saved the old lady, flying her around, but him not knowing his true strength. Plus, the old lady was pretty, let's just say, not strong, because she's an old lady and she's just human as well. So he tries to fly her around, but he gets cratered and he goes into a crater, basically falling and making a rough landing, breaking this woman's leg and arm, and her whole stomach side getting cut open. As he would have started to freak out even more. Ben helping him up, saying, "That's okay, I'll get her to the hospital." As he would have but he would have super ran her to a nearby hospital, flying back down before Mark got shot by a robot cannon, and basically saving him instead of Eve. As Eve would have showed up a little bit later, taking down another cannon that was shooting for Ben. As he would have started to freak out, Mark would have started to freak out even more, but him kind of calming down as he had help now. As the team would have arrived. Robot, Eve, Rexplode, Duplicate, all showing up, and, well, fighting. As they would have started to fight against these robots, because they did have robots in this continuity. They had robot, sidekicks in this continuity, plus their own alien, army. But as Rexplode and Robot were basically fighting, doing some teamwork back to back, as soon as Ben would have saved this couple that was hiding behind some rubble getting shot at by some aliens. As he would have been fighting alongside Eve with maximum efficiency, but him not fighting as well with others because he was more, let's just say a loner. Not a loner, but he was used to doing things more on his own. Plus, on top of that, Ben's the most powerful one in this whole group. Because let's be real, Ben can one-shot the Invincible universe. I can hold you. He can one-shot the Invincible universe, bro. Alien X, boom, everything's done. But basically, Ben would have started to fight against the fight with the team, as Rexwell would have started to get a little cocky, as he would have kind of just thought these guys are just taking it like it's another blow. But him basically running away from these guys, basically getting overwhelmed by blast after blast after blast. And now I realize, after looking over this whole, episode, it was a lot of gore. I forgot how gory Invincible was, bruh. I haven't watched season 2 in a long while. Season 2 hasn't even had that much blood. So yeah, but they get hit with more rounds after rounds, them getting overwhelmed by how much army that is coming through these portals, them eventually noticing that something's going wrong. As they would have all looked, and they would have all noticed that these aliens were aging rapidly. Now in this universe, in this continuity, they wouldn't have been this overwhelmed as an original, them slowly starting to just fade away a lot quicker, but then eventually the aging would have kicked in, as they would start to retreat, as all of them would have started to age thousands of hundreds of years at very fast paces, us realizing that something's wrong with them, as they would have retreated, leaving some of their tech behind, but eventually escaping, as they would have all been tuckered out, especially Max, or not Max, but Rexwell would have been tucked out again, but him basically being really pissed off by what was going on. Now, it wasn't that Ben would have kind of been confused over what the hell was going on, but Mark would have taken the old lady to the main very, very high-tech superhero hospital, trying to get this old lady some help. But that's what I would say in the original continuity. Instead of this continuity, Ben would have taken the old lady to a normal hospital, way faster than where she originally came at the more high-tech hospital where no one was being taken care of. As Mark would have gone to his father's side, basically freaking out still because he still had a lot of blood on him. Mark still had a lot of blood on him because of the size, because of the fact that, he still kind of got the woman injured, and he was still really new to this whole hero stuff, and he didn't think it was this gory and this tragic and everything. But we've seen that Mark would have been kind of out of it, walking around the high school, pretty much hallways being zoned out. And even zoning out William at certain points. But William came through him saying that what was going on. As Mark would have told him that his dad was attacked. And William would have started to freak out, saying, "Are you okay? You're good?" Like, him just having the same conversation with them. Nothing really changing in this continuity, too much a part of this story. Now, as we're going to switch to basically Mark walking over to Eve and seeing her in, the school. As he would have looked over and walked over to her, basically just saying, hey, and blah, 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 just making small talk. As they eventually would have started to talk or something. As she would have introduced herself to, Ben, not Ben, but Mark as, Eve Tennyson. As she would have talked to him, and they would have went off with each other, basically just getting some small talk. Now, what would happen after this, we would get switched to Mark talking to her about superhero things and about how he wasn't really, cut out for this. He didn't think it was this brutal. As she would have given him some words of support, saying that, "I know you, and we should have met each other a long time ago. My cousin is, your best friend." As he would have said, "Wait, Ben?" As he would have gone on about, "So, you know Ben? Damn, your family, I've never met you? I met practically his whole family at this point." As she would have went on about how, we don't really know a lot about you, Mark. Well, me personally, my side of the family. But we do know a lot. Well, we don't know a lot about you, but we heard a lot about you, okay? Yeah, she would have started to laugh a little bit. As Ben doesn't really talk about you too much, but he does mention you time to time. You are one of his best friends. As they would have started to make a little bit more small talk, but her eventually giving him words of advice that Ben told her, and she told Ben that with great power comes a great responsibility to take your actions with a grain of salt. Your actions give consequences, and grain of salt is kind of an understatement. Your actions will lead to a lot more consequences, Mark, and your actions will push you beyond your wildest capabilities. Me and Ben had to go through that as kids. But I want to tell you this. You can't live your whole life being scared of who you are and what you can do. You are a hero, Mark. You tried your best. You just have to learn. You're new to this. There's nothing bad about doing bad your first time. You're put into an impossible situation for the very first time, and you didn't know what you're doing. But we've been doing this for a long time, me and Ben, since we were kids. And all I want to tell you is that we're here for you. Me and Ben. And she would have flew off. As he would have kind of smirked. As he would have went off with his day. As we would have switched to robot talking the Steezel, as nothing would have really stopped here. But actually, it would, though. As we were seeing that, Grandpa Max would have shown up. As Grandpa Max would have been looking around. Grandpa Max would have been looking around. Basically, scoping out the area. Seeing that the material was being aged by thousands of times over. Basically, robot picking together that they were being phased out of their, timeline or their universe. As in their universe, time moves a lot slower. As we get switched to, Ben. As we were seeing Ben basically doing some training in a nearby plumber facility near his house. As we were doing some training back to back. As we were going to switch back to the area, as we were seeing that, blood spot or dark blood, the Hellboy Constantine ripoff in this universe. As he would have been scoping out the area using his powers to see the depths of the Guardians of the Globe. Him trying to piece together what was going on. Same thing with Grandpa Max being there as well, looking over the crime scene as well. Him being in the background, and us getting switched closer to him, saying that something's not right here. the amount of strength, the amount of brutality that was inflicted on these creatures. I mean, these people are friends. The people I fought with, the people I grew old with. As he would have started to look closely and closer, as he would have realized that something wasn't truly, fully, just, I don't know, was off to him. As we can switch back to, Mark and Eve flying around the city, basically talking around each other. As we also seen that, basically Amber would have gotten kind of a little jealous by this. But basically, Mark and Eve would have been flying around the city, basically having a blast and toying with each other. As Eve and Mark would have been messing around and basically just chilling back to back. Now, we would see Mark's inexperience with his powers, him flying through a whole poster board, as she would have told him that that was a little bit of a rough landing. Let's try again, though. As they would have been flying around the city more and more, doing more trick shots and flips and kicks around. Eventually, her showing him to the team's headquarters on the bridge, as they would have been talking. As Mark would have been introduced to the team, as he would have tried to introduce himself, as Ben would have also been there as well, as Ben would have basically been talking to them, as he would have been snacking on some, Doritos, spicy, sweet Doritos, chili spicy Doritos, you know what I'm saying? As we would have introduced that Rexplode was dating, Eve. As we would have also seen in the background, Kevin, as Kevin would have been kind of a mechanic helper with Robot. Him not really knowing Robot's whole mental thinking pattern, but him helping Robot with certain technology advancements, repairs, and other things he needed help with that only Kevin's unique abilities of absorption could help him with. As the duplicate would have introduced herself to Mark, as they would have all been talking to each other. As Ben would have pulled Mark aside, saying that this is cool, right? A team of teens like us. As Ben would have told that he had a team like this on another timeline he did. As Mark would have been kind of confused, timeline. As Ben would have still had some of the same adventures he had. Some Omniverse adventures would be taking place that Ben did take part of. So let's say Ben already knows the multiverse is a whole thing, but he's not going to bring it up much at all for the rest of season 1. So, but Mark doesn't know about the whole multiverse with Invincible and Omni-Man. He only knows the part of the multiverse that, basically, how do I put this? Involves only his part of his family and his lineage and his story. So the Omniverse is only open to his part of his story and only the story of the outer space community and everything like that. So let's just say in this continuity, Ben really doesn't know jack squat about the Vulturemites or any other race that is entangled with Vulturemites. Majority of the aliens in Ben's wrist or watch in the Omnitrix aren't overran by, Viltrum just yet, or at all, as a matter of fact, but will be soon, and some of that news will be spread out to Ben eventually. But just say, I can't remember his name, Azimuth, he does know a little bit about the Vulturemites. Actually, he knows a lot about the Vulturemites, since he's one of the most smartest people in the universe, still in this universe. Way smarter than Robot, too. But we're going to switch to Mark going to the hospital, checking up on an old lady, trying to see if she's okay. As the doctors have told her that there's not much they can do for her, as she's in critical condition, and the amount of damage she sustained would put her in a very bad spot. But the best we can do is hope, as he would have patted Mark and would have walked away. As Mark would have walked off, as him being interrupted by Ben going over there to drop off some roses, to basically just chillax and relax. As we were seeing that Rexbo would have been drinking some milk, as he would have walked over to the machine Robot and Kevin were working on, basically seeing that, is that red dot supposed to be working or doing that? As Kevin would have looked over, pushing Rex, saying, what the heck? They're here. As we can switch to the school, as basically Mark and William would have been talking back to back, doing the whole type of same, exact talk. Now, Ben not having the same lunch period as Eve and Mark, him not really being in this conversation or this lunch type at the time. As Eve would have gotten a notification, her telling or signaling to Mark he has to dip. As Amber would have been kind of suspicious of this whole thing, asking William what was going on with Eve and Mark. as Eve and Mark would have flew down, basically seeing Rex float there. As Rex would have kind of a little suspicious about why they showed up together, but him just, being a boyfriend. Like, I'll be suspicious too. I'll be suspicious too. This new dude showed up, always attached to the hip of my girl, bro. No. No. Hell no. But we get switched to the aliens coming back and them looking older, more evolved, and actually finding let's just say a fix to the whole situation they had earlier. As they would have started to fight against everybody. As Rex Blow would have said, how did they able to find a problem and fix it in 3 days? As they would have basically been told by Robot, they probably were evolved, and for them, must have been decades. As they would have ran into the fight. As the team would have started to fight against them kind of getting overwhelmed. Ben eventually seeing this from the background, as he would have been able to get to basically the whole fight, as Eve would have just called him doing this whole fight because she was basically there to call Ben. Not call, but she texted Ben, and the text just went through. So Ben just transformed into a stone, him blasting these aliens away like it's nothing. Him using his powers the same way Eve is, pushing them back with huge constructs of energy, as Mark would have been basically overwhelmed as well by his robots, but him breaking through them really quickly. As Eve would have tried to break through his robots as well, but his robots clamping onto Eve, basically them designed to attack her powers. As they would have only planned for the speed of Accelerate, but not the versatility of Ben's powers, because Ben was only accelerated through the whole first fight they did 3 days ago. As Ben would have been going crazy with Chroma Stone, shooting blasts of energy back to back to back, as he would eventually cut out Mark out of the green goop, him trying to at the moment, but him being interrupted by a huge blast of energy by the guy with the red cape, him shooting him with a huge laser blast that affects energy, it also being made specifically to take away the kinetic energy from Accelerate, Ben's transformation for the first fight. As it wouldn't do much to Chromosome but just slow him down, Chromosome blasting through it with his energy and shooting a huge heap of energy towards the alien's body, pushing him back. But the alien shooting him with another blast, slowing him down more, him eventually walking over and just grabbing Eve, about to shoot her down. As Ben would have gotten incredibly pissed off, him about to go into a fight frenzy, but Mark going in instead. Him blasting, and I mean breaking through the goo, him going wild, going nuts, going crazy, basically going against this robot. Going against the alien and basically pummeling the soul out of him. I mean, giving him the 1-2 combo, extra biscuit, no honey, for real. Giving him that extra biscuit sauce drink, no honey, no nothing, bro. As he would have eventually saw that the bracelets were making them stop aging. As Robot would have told him that to go for the bracelets. And so everybody would have started to go around, taking out the bracelets and deactivating them. Eventually, Robot finding a frequency that they can use to take it out. As Robot would have needed a stronger signal. As Ben would have transformed into Upgrade, basically upgrading Robot. As Robot would have said, I don't calculate for this, but Ben basically merging with Robot's body. As Robot would have seen that his cognitive abilities, his energy, and everything in his suit was highly advanced to a point where he couldn't even comprehend the amount of power he had at his fingertips. As a Robot would have been pushing a huge signal that would have reached way farther than the fight was intended, reaching almost out of the atmosphere, disturbing another civilization. But we'll get into that later. So what would happen as well, everybody would have retreated, the aliens leaving another time, as it would have escaped, as the rebel alien would have gotten pissed off, still having a vendetta against them, especially Ben, as they would have now known Ben was a wild card. He could transform into multiple species, some species that they did know, as Ben did transform into a few throughout the fight, as in Diamond Head, Chromostone, Accelerate as well throughout the fight, and also mainly sticking towards Chromostone throughout the fight, but still. As Rex would have gotten a little cocky, and again, as pretty much Eve would have gotten mad at him. But same old, as Mark would have gotten a call saying that his dad was good, as he had to fly off. As Ben would have transformed into Jet Ray, flying after Mark, basically trying to, see what's going on. As Mark would have told him that is something he needs to do, as he would have super speed towards, Omni-Man, seeing if he was okay, or no one seeing if he was okay. As it would have had the same kind of talk, it not being interrupted by Ben, as Ben would have walked off. As we would have seen that Ben would have been walking off, as he would have been kind of sad in the waiting room, as Mark was about to leave that hospital to check on the old lady. But him being told that the old lady was dead, as Ben would have told him that she died a couple hours ago. I'm sorry, Mark. You tried your best. I even tried my best. But it is what it is. And I don't want to tell you this, but I have to. You saw it when you first fought those aliens. In the real world, it's not sunshines and rainbows. When I turned 13 with the Omnitrix, and I started getting way more into the fights, way more into fighting these aliens, I started to see the brutality of everything and how this all really happens. Those are people I liked. Happy families getting murdered because I wasn't fast enough, strong enough, or just smart enough in the situation. I hide my fear of losing and seeing people get hurt because of me behind cocky wits, humor, and everything in between. As we were seeing that, let's just say Mark would have gotten a little confused, but him saying that this is interesting to say at least. As Mark would have said that, understand, Ben, I really do. And I'm totally prepared to, I guess, be taught by you. As Ben would say, what? As Ben would have said, as Mark would have said, I'm about to train over my dad a little bit, and I want you to teach me your ways, As we were going to switch to, Nolan basically trying to ask for his suit back before everything went down. Us getting switched to, back to the house after a few days would have passed, as Mark would have been told by Cecil that it was some sort of thing he needed to do that was happening outside the atmosphere. Some sort of disturbance, an alien thing. As Cecil was originally going to go to Ben for this, but him knowing that Ben did his own thing and worked for another organization that he didn't even know yet about, but he knew it was some sort of organization. As we would have seen that Mark would have been looking around for whoever came, and him getting hit with a huge back whip in the back of the fight, as it would have been some sort of muscular alien, as he would start to fight against this alien, going back to back and punching him back to back, him eventually fighting back, grabbing Mark and throwing him into the ground. Not throwing him in the ground, but throwing him into a nearby, what was it? Satellite. As Mark would have seen that it was a huge explosion, him being pushed back, as he would have been helped up by, Big Chill, as transformed into Big Chill, as he would have been helping fight against, this alien, as he would have started to fight against them, going back to back, him eventually realizing this alien reminded him of something. As Ben eventually, they started to stop right when they landed on the moon, them going blow for blow, punch for punch, Ben even getting side swept and getting kicked in the giblets, or the crotch area, Big Chill's anatomy, by the alien. Them eventually fighting against this alien, his alien overpowering Big Chill and throwing punches back to back to Mark, hitting him on the ground. As Mark and Ben were about to go for a finishing blow against Alan, or the alien, as he would have stopped, and Big Chill would have realized that he recognized his alien, as he would have told Mark to stop. And basically Alan looking over, saying, wait, I know that symbol. Ben? As they would have had sidekick talk, as Ben would have said, it's you, Alan. I haven't seen you since I was a kid. Alan replying with, I haven't seen you since you were a wee little changeling. As Ben would have said that's not what we use, but it's close enough. As they would have started to talk a little bit, and Ben being kind of confused. As Ben would have been Mark would have been explained that when Ben was doing some space activities or space missions when he was younger, he came across Alan on one of his missions on a nearby planet. And it was a interesting mission nonetheless. And I knew him. We talked for a little bit, and basically he is kind of a master for the Coalition. the planet of coalitions, whatever, the organization. As they would start to talk a little bit more, basically him being kind of switched up what was going on around basically this planet, as he was told that he went to the wrong planet. He was supposed to go to Earth or whatever, but he went to Earth instead. As they would have started to talk a little bit, and Ben King kind of, scary, saying that you really couldn't tell the difference. As they would have started to just talk a little bit more, but eventually them ended it off. As Ben and Mark would have said goodbye to Alan, and Alan flying off, saying to stay good with the plumbers for me, as he would have flew off. As Alan would have basically flew off, Ben getting kind of confused, saying, well, who are the plumbers? As Ben would have told him that that's another thing that you'll find out later. But let's go back. As Mark and Ben would have flew back to the planet, and then eventually coming back down. And nothing would have really changed too much, but the end of the episode, I just kidding, bro. I ain't gonna hit you with that. Nah, bro. It's a whole ass fight scene that's what happened with the third coming of the alien invasion. Now, what would happen is the same thing with the Heroes Memorial, the news of the Guardians of the Globe coming out and being dead, and yada yada yada. The whole thing going on. And on top of all of that, alien invasion would have came in. Also, Mark would have gotten picked up and basically told to have, Amber's number, yada yada, the usual. As we would have seen that, well, what would happen is after that, aliens would have came back. And they would have came back stronger than ever with new tech, new machinery, and everything. Then basically being even more advanced than ever. And Rex still being the cocky, talking, arrogant guy he is. And Kevin being there this time with the fight, saying what the hell is going on here. As they would have started to get a little bit more, aggressive with it. As they would have started to get sick with it. Kevin would have been going crazy with the absorbing blast, back to back, absorbing concrete, middle, and even the armor they're having on. Him bashing through them left and right. Put him on my god with a Clyde. Coop did it with a thief in the night. I'm gonna stop. That was trash. But basically what happened is, well, the fight would have escalated. With the help of Kevin and Ben, the fight would have been a little bit more evened out. Plus, Mark being a little bit more experienced in the last couple days. But him being stopped by this new robot dude, as he would have had a robot supercharged suit trying to go on par with Mark's speed and strength, as he would have started to beat and pummel down Mark back to back. Ben being overwhelmed by the other aliens and the sheer power of them, him being in his upgrade form, him dodging and going through them, basically throwing him in the ground, as he would have accidentally transformed into upgrade, as he would start to fight against them. As we would eventually see that Mark was getting pummeled and overpowered by this dude left and right. Getting bashed. Him about to black out. Him about to die. As he was about to do the last finishing blow, as the alien was about to take him out, as his father would eventually come in and take down the alien. Him ripping him apart and basically throwing it around like a rag doll. Him fighting against the aliens back to back and literally plowing through them. Destroying them. Destroying them, I tell you. They were gone. They were GG's, man. GG's, they were gone. As Omni-Man wouldn't feel any of the attacks they were shooting at him, as he would have taken all of them down. As the team would have been kind of, saying that, what the heck? This man is destroying everybody. Kevin also being kind of intrigued by the sheer power. As Kevin, him being able to absorb alien abilities, let's just say Kevin might even want to absorb Omni-Man. Pause. But basically what happened is the aliens would have tried to escape, as the alien with the, pretty much, Cape would have told him this, don't retreat, fight back, fight harder. As Omni-Man would have just started to fly back, grabbing the alien with the armor, flowing him through the portal, and taking them out. As the team, including Kevin and Ben, would have been kind of shocked by this, saying, what the hell just happened? As Ben would have arrived home with bruises on his face, as we were seeing that Debbie would have been told by Mark that his dad was in a portal. As they would have been not as shook, because she said the only reason why she was, scared the first time is because she never saw her dad, or never saw Mark's dad that hurt before. But him flying off to another universe, that's just a normal Tuesday to me. Another Tuesday to me, nothing too simple, nothing too, out of the ordinary. As Mark would kind of been confused. As we go switched to Ben. As we go switch to Ben talking to Grandpa Max. As Grandpa Max would explain to Ben that something's going on. That he has something he needs to tell him. And I don't know if it is true, but it involves your friend Ben. It involves Mark and his father. As we get hit with the end of Ben's whole story in part 2, as we get switched to Omni-Man taking down the alien civilization, sending him back, and basically Omni-Man doing his thing and destroying them. As we get switched to Nolan coming back with a sick beard and haircut. But yeah, ended off the episode there with also an incredible scene with Cecil. But still, we don't have season there, and yeah, so I'll keep it a buck with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.